Okay, good morning. I'm Parole Officer Trisella, and I'm a hearing examiner for the Board of Pardons and Paroles. This is a revocation hearing concerning William Raymond, inmate number 2355540. Today is Tuesday, January 7, 2025, and this hearing is being conducted via video at the Board of Pardons and Paroles Central Office and Osborn Correctional Institution. Can you please state your full name and DOC inmate number for the record?
William Patrick Raymond, 235540.
Thank you. This is a public hearing, and public access to this hearing is available via video live stream. We're going to go over the purpose of today's hearing. So this is a revocation hearing to determine whether you have violated the conditions of your release. I will review and make findings of facts as to each of the charges against you, and the state, not you, has a responsibility to prove the allegations by a preponderance of evidence, and that is the better or weightier evidence must establish that more probably than not the allegation is true. If I do not find that there's a preponderance of evidence to support a violation of one or more of the conditions of your parole, I'll reinstate your parole, which means releasing you and placing you back on parole supervision. If I find that you have violated one or more of the conditions of your parole, I will consider whether or not your parole should be revoked. If I recommend revocation, I will make a recommendation as to the appropriate sanction. A recommendation will be given to a panel for a final decision, and if the panel wishes to impose a sanction beyond my recommendation, a supplemental hearing will be held to justify additional confinement. You should know that a revocation hearing is an adversarial proceeding, and anything you say at this hearing can be used against you. This hearing is also being recorded. The testimony at today's hearing will be taken under oath. So, Mr. Raymond, can you please raise your right hand? You solemnly swear, solemnly and sincerely affirm, as the case may be, that the evidence you shall give concerning this case shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God, or upon penalty of perjury?
Yes.
Thank you. So we're going to go over the procedure for the hearing. So first, I'm going to read you your rights. Then we're going to review the parole violation charges that the state, your parole officer, is bringing against you. I will then review and identify the exhibits that they have filed for the record. The state is not present at today's hearing. However, you will have an opportunity to present any relevant testimony and any relevant documents. After considering all the evidence presented, I will announce my findings. And if I find that you have violated one or more of the conditions of your parole, you'll have an opportunity to speak to your background and history. Do you have any questions about the purpose or procedure before we begin?
No.
So you do have important rights for this hearing, so we're going to go over them now. You have a right to be represented by an attorney at this hearing. You may hire your own attorney, and if you cannot afford an attorney, you may qualify for an appointed attorney to represent you. Were you informed that you can have an attorney to represent you at this hearing?
Yes.
Okay, and do you intend to hire your own attorney or seek counsel for this hearing? So just one more time to confirm, you're okay with going forward today without legal representation? Yes. You also have the right to receive written notice of the charges of violation. Did you receive that written notice?
Yes.
You have the right to review the evidence against you before this hearing, and you have the right to submit evidence in support of your case. You also have the right to call and examine voluntary witnesses and cross-examine adverse witnesses. Do you understand these rights, and are you ready to go forward?
Yes.
So we're going to review the charges that the state your parole officer is bringing against you and the underlying information for each charge. So on charge number 1, condition of reporting, the charging officer reported that on 8/23/24, offender failed to report to the New Haven District Office or CPA halfway house as directed. Charge number 2, condition of program participation, the charging officer reported that on 9/12/2024, offender was unsuccessfully discharged from the Ford Clinic Substance Abuse Program due to failing to attend scheduled sessions. For charge number 3, condition of residence, the charging officer reported that on 8/20/2024, AWOL Sober House Manager Daryl reported offender failed to return home since 8/15/2024 and was unable to get in contact with him. Daryl reported he spoke to offender today and advised him to report to Redemption House Recovery Transition Placement due to failing to report home. Offender refused to go. As a result, Daryl expressed offender cannot return to the program. For charge number 4, condition of absconder, the charging officer reported that on 8/23/24, offender failed to report to the New Haven District Office or CPA halfway house as directed after being discharged from sober house on 8/20/2024. On charge number 5, condition of obedience to law, the charging officer reported that on 10/5/2024, you were arrested by Bristol PD for interfering and issued a summons. And on charge number 6, condition of drugs, the charging officer reported that on July 2nd, 2024, offender voluntarily admitted to abusing cocaine, assigned a voluntary admission. Offender tested positive for cocaine on 7/8/2024 and positive for fentanyl on 8/9/2024 at the Ford Clinic. On 7/29/24, offender rendered a urine in the district office, which yielded positive results for cocaine. The state has also filed the following exhibits that have been pre-marked for identification purposes as Exhibit A, the Connecticut Conditions of Parole, Exhibit B, the Connecticut Board of Parole Remand to Custody Order, Exhibit C, the Notice of Parole Violation, Exhibit D, the Parole Violation Report, Exhibit E, the Voluntary Admission, Exhibit F, the Premier Lab Results from 7/29/24, Exhibit G, the Unsigned Misconducts, Exhibit H, the Ford Clinical Progress Report and Unsuccessful Discharge Summary, Exhibit I, the Bristol Police Department Summons ME 005862. That is all. In addition, the state has filed 2 addendums to the parole violation report. The first was on October 10th, 2024, and states in reference to the parole violation report submitted by P.O. Smith regarding William Raymond, number 235540, the following applies. On September 25th, 2024, the Board of Parole issued a warrant based on that report declaring the offender an absconder from special parole supervision. On 10/1/24, the case was transferred to the FIU for investigation. On 10/5/24, Raymond was arrested by Bristol Police Department and charged with interfering and issued a misdemeanor summons. A remand to custody was lodged with Bristol Police Department, and Raymond was served his parole violation notice on 10/9/2024 and signed notice of parole violation. Parole rights and remands were scanned into case notes on 10/10/2024. The second addendum submitted by the state was submitted on December 9th, 2024, and states on December 6th, 2024, on docket number H15N CR24035138-S. Raymond did not enter a plea for interfering and received a nollie. On docket number H15N motor vehicle 24-0451406S, Raymond did not enter a plea for failure to insure a private motor vehicle and operating an unregistered motor vehicle and received a nollie. Those were both admitted into evidence as well. So, Mr. Raymond, did you receive the notice of parole violation, the parole violation reports, and all the other documents I have marked for identification purposes?
Yes, I did.
I have not received any exhibits from you. Is that correct? Any evidence?
Yes. No.
You need more time to submit any evidence?
No.
Okay. So we do not have any witnesses. So at this time, it is your opportunity to respond to the parole violation charges against you. However, remember that you can remain silent if you choose to do so. So at this time, would you like to make a statement, call any witnesses, or testify regarding your case?
No, ma'am.
So we're just going to jump into the findings of your charges. So for charge number 1, I find that you violated the condition of reporting based on the evidence presented in Exhibit A and D. On charge number 2, I find that you violated the condition of program participation based on Exhibit A, D, and H. Charge number 3, I find that you violated the condition of residence based on Exhibit A and D. On charge number 4, I find that you violated the condition of absconder based on Exhibit A and D. On charge number 5, condition of obedience to the law, I'm making a no finding as the state failed to provide evidence in support of the charge. And for charge number 6, I actually separated it into 4 separate parts for each date they charged you. So for the 2 parts that are dated July 8th, 2024 and August 9th, 2024, I'm making a no finding as the state failed to submit sufficient evidence in support of the charge. And for the other 2 dates of July 2nd, 2024 and July 29th, 2024, I am finding that you violated the condition of drugs based on the evidence in Exhibit A, D, E, and F. So that does conclude my fact-finding portion of the hearing. Before I make my recommendation, you will have an opportunity to speak to your background and history, and this will help determine the outcome of the recommendation. So at this time, would you like to make a statement regarding the violation, background, and or history?
I would just like to say, yes, I did admit to the urine originally, which I was dirty, and I was working full time. I was living at the house. I was doing very well, and an incident occurred where I didn't come home on time, and I handled the situation wrong by not calling in, and when I should have just called and said, I'm going to be late or whatever, but I didn't. And he did, to my knowledge, he didn't ask me to come back to the house. He told me I couldn't. So I reported to the officer. He told me to report to the halfway house. I did not, because I was working a very good job and we only had like 2 weeks left and I was getting paid cash and it was good money for the landscape. And so I was like, I was just going to try to get the money together so I can just get my own place, which I handled that wrong. I admit to those and I can't take those back. But after the original dirty urn, I did well. I attended meetings. Like, I got myself off methadone. I've been clean off heroin for 3 years. The dirty urn for fentanyl had to have been because of the coke. I did not attend the Ford clinic at them because that happened when he did send me to go to the halfway house. I was already told not to come back. So there was, to that point, no reporting back to New Haven for the clinic. But, you know, I made some mistakes, but, you know, like I said, I've been off heroin for 3 years, or fentanyl, which you like to call it. I successfully got myself off methadone. I was working full time. I was doing well. Like I said, I made some mistakes, and those things I can take back, but I did not go on and commit any new crimes. I wasn't, you know, in that kind of behavior or mindset. And the motor vehicle, which say dropped, which I showed evidence to the court that at the time, the motor vehicle was still supposed to be registered through the previous owner. I was paying them to keep it registered. I waited for the title. So I believe that's why they ended up denying it, because I didn't know it was unregistered at the time. So that is a whole nother story. But from my step while I was at the house, like, I admitted to them, and I was going to the Ford clinic on my own, trying to do the right thing. And, you know, I did make some mistakes. So for that, I'm just, either way, I'm still proud in the way I handled most of the situation. I didn't bring it out of control. You know, there's nothing I could do about it but go forward. And that's what I'm trying to do.
Thank you. Just to get some clarification, you mentioned that you started going to meetings after your first dirty urine. You're talking AA meetings, or was it like
the house? Yeah, the house, we had AA meetings. I reported in the community all the time. I was going to the Ford clinic after work at time, but when he said I didn't finish the report, that happened as when he told me to report to the halfway house, and I didn't. So I did not keep going at that point. Yes.
Okay, so at that moment when you didn't go back to halfway house, you were not attending treatment or meetings?
Yes, but I wasn't using though.
Okay.
I wasn't going. I was working all the time. I was just trying to get my finances in order so I could try to, because I asked him, I was like, can we find another house? I paid $2,000 to get moved into that house, you know? And he's like, no, you got to go back to Havas. You know, he kept bringing up the dirty urn. I thought that was a little unfair. I said, I am working. I'm trying to do the right thing. And I just, you know, I felt a little upset about that. And the overall situation I handled wrong. I should have reported or whatever, but I didn't. You know, I didn't go about making it worse. That's one thing I can say for myself. And normally that's what I used to fall back on, but, you know, I am trying.
Thank you. I'm just going to take a moment, then I'll let you know my recommendation, okay? All right. So I have listened to your testimony today, and I have reviewed all of the evidence submitted. Based on that, I am going to recommend that your parole be revoked and that you serve an approximate 5-month period of confinement with a reparole date of March 5th, 2025. In addition to that recommendation, I'm going to recommend the following conditions. no alcohol consumption, no contact with the co-defendant Diane Brandy, a general no contact with TD Bank, 826 Wolcott Road in Wolcott, and general no contact with Lowe's, 3270 Berlin Turnpike, Newington. Mental health evaluation. Do you have a sponsor, Mr. Raymond, or will you need a halfway house?
Halfway house. I have a question about the mental health, why they keep bringing, I haven't been on mental health medication in many years. And I was discharged off that from the facility successfully. So they brought that up out there. I did attend in groups because they asked me to. I just don't understand why that's there. When I initially discharged from the DLC in 2020 started, I was no longer on any kind of medication or seeking mental health treatment.
Okay, so
I would like
it is from a previous stipulation added. So what I can recommend is that when you get out, work with your parole officer, see what they recommend, because they can request us to remove it. But at this time, I don't know any of the grounds behind why they have requested it.
I was just curious about that.
Evaluation and treatment as deemed necessary. So if you go out, when you go out again and they send you for an evaluation, it could also be up to whoever that clinician is if they don't feel that treatment's necessary, okay? But work with them to either remove it or just get the evaluation done and whatever's recommended, okay? You said halfway house, correct?
Yes.
What area?
Hartford.
Hartford. So my recommendation is going to go to the board on January 16th. On that date, the board can either accept my recommendation, they can lower it if they choose to do so, or they can increase it if they want to. You'll receive a written notice within a week of that hearing date on January 16th. And if for any reason they do choose to do a sanction longer than what I've recommended, you will be notified of the hearing, why they want to extend it, and what they want to discuss with you, because there will be a supplemental hearing that you'll be present for to address their concerns before it happens, okay? Do you have any questions for me right now, Mr. Raymond?
No.
All right, so you are all set. I do appreciate you talking to me today. And this does conclude your revocation hearing.
All right, thank you. You have a good day now.
Take care, Mr. Raymond. Good luck with everything.
Thank you.
Word. Right, talking.
What's that?
Already.
Bye, thank you.
All right, you're welcome. Have a good one.
You too.
Thank you.